My beloved child, before you take another step forward on this journey, pause for a moment and allow your heart to touch a truth you often overlook. Not every gaze directed toward you carries judgment, and not every form of attention is pressure. There is another gaze, silent, steadfast, and filled with love that follows every step you take. It is not the fluctuating, quick to conclude scrutiny of human eyes, but the gaze of mine, the one who preserves you and records every subtle movement within your soul, when you feel as though you are being placed under evaluation. In truth, you are being enveloped by a gaze of grace, where even the smallest goodness is treasured like a precious seed. There are moments when you live in quietness, doing what is right without anyone witnessing it, remaining faithful without applause, and you wonder whether it all truly matters. But I tell you this, nothing you do in the light of truth is ever forgotten. Every right decision, every moment you restrain yourself from what is wrong, every time you choose love instead of reaction, all of it is recorded not in the ink of this world, but in the light of eternity. As it is written in book of Malachi 3, Shiloh, the Lord listened and heard, and a book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear the Lord. Do you see? Your life is not passing in anonymity. It is being inscribed with a value you have never fully imagined. Yet I also know that this very sense of being watched has caused you to withdraw. It has made you anxious, caused you to doubt your worth, as though there were always an observing eye waiting for your failure. You carry memories of being misunderstood, compared, and judged. And from this, your soul has learned to defend itself. You no longer see observation as safety, but as pressure to perform. But my child, that voice does not come from me. The voice that makes you feel insufficient, unworthy, incomplete, that is not the voice of heaven. For my voice does not shrink you, it opens you. It does not bring fear, it establishes you in strength. Let me realign your understanding of this gaze. I do not look at you to find fault, but to recognize the life that is growing within you. I do not watch you to compare you with others, but to affirm who you are, becoming the one I intended from the beginning. As it is written in book of Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And if I knew you before your existence, then my gaze cannot be limited by your temporary flaws. I see through layers of fear and fracture to behold what is being formed, a person carrying light, not because of perfection, but because of transformation. Remember the story of Zacchaeus, the small tax collector who climbed a tree just to see Jesus Christ amidst the crowd. In the eyes of men, he was despised and dismissed because of his past. Yet when he hid himself among the branches, Jesus looked up and called him by name. That gaze did not contain condemnation, but invitation. It did not expose his failure, but opened the way for restoration. And from that moment, Zacchaeus' life was transformed, not because he was already perfect, but because he was seen in a way he had never been seen before. And so it is with you as well. You are not defined by how others see you, but established by how I see you. Therefore, when you sense attention being directed toward you, do not rush into fear. Learn to discern what is the gaze of the world and what is the gaze of heaven. The gaze of the world makes you shrink. My gaze causes you to grow. The gaze of the world makes you hide. My gaze brings you into freedom. As it is written in book of 1 Samuel 16:7, the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. What I see within you is not deficiency, but potential waiting to be unveiled. You do not need to perform before me, nor do you need to prove anything in order to be accepted by me. My love is not anchored in achievement, but in relationship. I do not stand at a distance to evaluate, I draw near to guide. When you are weak, I do not turn away, I stoop down. When you stumble, I do not record your failure, I lift you up. And in every step you take, whether you are aware of it or not, I am still recording not to build a case against you, but to prepare the day when I will reveal you in the light. So then, my beloved child, cease fearing this unseen gaze. Receive it instead as an encompassing embrace, as the confirmation that you are never alone. What you are living today, even in its quietness, is becoming a testimony to something greater that I will do through you. And when the appointed time comes, you will understand that every moment you thought was overlooked was in fact being carefully preserved for a timely unveiling. For in my eyes, you are not an unfinished story, but a complete record of grace already in motion. My beloved child, open your heart to understand a deep truth your soul has not yet fully touched. The way I see you is entirely different from the way the world sees you. There is no condemnation held within my gaze, nor is there any memory of your failures used to accuse you. What I remember, what I preserve, are the moments you stood firm when you could have given up, the times you chose light when darkness seemed easier, when you thought those days passed in vain. I saw them as foundation stones being laid for a work you cannot yet fully see. As it is written in Book of Psalms 126:5, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Every tear you have sown in hidden places has not been wasted. It is becoming a harvest prepared in the unseen realm. There are times when you walk through long seasons where no one knows, no one understands, and no one acknowledges, and you wonder whether all that faithfulness truly produces anything at all. But I tell you this, every step you took in those dry seasons has been carefully preserved, not as a cold record, but as a living treasury where each of your right choices is inscribed with an undying light. When you held your heart soft in the midst of hurtful words, when you did not allow bitterness to take root, even when you had reason to, when you continued to trust, despite all external evidence opposing you, all of it has been seen and held with a value you have never fully imagined. As it is written in Book of Psalms 145:20, the Lord preserves all those who love him, and that preservation is not only protection, but also the keeping of every evidence of your love toward me. Understand this clearly. My child, your journey is not disregarded simply because it unfolds in silence. On the contrary, what is done in hiddenness carries the deepest weight before me. There are things that, if revealed too early, would not be able to stand. And there are people who, if exalted before they are fully formed, would lose what I intended to build within them. Therefore, I do not rush to bring you into the light before I have completed my work within you. As it is written in Book of Psalms 138:8, the Lord will fulfill his purpose for me, and that includes the process I am carrying out within you, quiet yet certain, hidden yet full of power. Remember the story of Joseph, who passed through years of being misunderstood, betrayed, and forgotten in the darkness of prison. No one stood beside him to applaud his faithfulness in those days. No one witnessed the righteous decisions he held when no eyes were watching. But I saw. I recorded every uncompromising choice he made. Every moment, he kept his heart pure in the face of temptation. And at the time I had appointed, I did not merely bring him out of the darkness, I placed him into a position that an entire nation had to recognize. When he rose, it was not sudden luck, but the culmination of a long journey I had faithfully preserved. In the same way, you are not being prepared for accidental emergence. You are being formed for appointed revelation. Therefore, my beloved child, do not let your heart become burdened by the feeling of no visible results yet. What you cannot see today does not mean it does not exist. Everything you are living through, enduring, and overcoming is being gathered as testimony for a coming day when I will allow light to shine clearly upon your life. And when that day arrives, no one will be able to claim your rise was accidental. You will stand upon a foundation built through faithfulness, perseverance, and silent victories known only between you and me. Do not try to rush this process, nor compare your journey with others. For every soul moves according to a distinct rhythm within my design. Some are revealed early, others are held longer, but none are forgotten. I am keeping you within a purposeful unfolding where every part of you is being refined, strengthened, and prepared. And in that hidden place, I am writing a story that will later stand as a living testimony of my grace and power through you. So continue to walk not as one being watched in fear, but as one being carefully preserved, not as one trying to prove worth, but as one being prepared. For I tell you truthfully, when the appointed time comes, when I open a door no one can shut, you will step out not only with external light, but with an inner confirmation that cannot be shaken. And the world will recognize that your journey was never random, but a sacred record written long before in my heart. My beloved child, listen to this as a gentle yet clear awakening, for there is a misunderstanding quietly creeping into your heart, one that, if left uncorrected, will cause you to withdraw just before the threshold I am opening before you. There is an unseen force attempting to distort your perception, turning what is meant to be spiritual awareness into a fear of being watched. It whispers that you are being observed to be judged, that you are prone to failure, weakness, and exposure of what you wish to hide. But, my child, that voice is not from me. I do not plant fear within you to halt you. I awaken you so you may move forward. What you are sensing is not a threat, it is a signal. When your soul begins to become sensitive to unseen movements, when you feel as though a gaze is covering you more than before, it is not a sign of danger, but a sign of a changing season. You are approaching a point where what was once hidden will be brought into the light, not to bring you shame, but to confirm what I have been forming within you. As it is written in book of Luke 12:2, nothing is covered up that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. Yet understand this in the way of heaven. What is revealed is not weakness meant to diminish you, but transformation meant to elevate you. There is a stage in the journey of everyone I have chosen where everything begins to feel more defined, as though every thought, every action carries greater weight than before. This is not a burden pressing down on you, but preparation taking shape. Just as light intensifies and every detail becomes clearer, it is not to destroy the image, but to complete it. You are in that very moment. Do not confuse clarity with threat. Do not confuse awareness with pursuit. I do not place you in the light to make you tremble. I place you in the light so you may shine. Therefore, my beloved one, when this sense of being seen rises within you, do not immediately shrink back as though you need to hide. Stand still and discern. Is it fear speaking? Or is awareness knocking at the door? Darkness always tries to turn awareness into panic, so that you withdraw before stepping into what I have prepared. It wants you to believe you are not ready, that you need more time, that you must first become perfect. But I tell you this, perfection is not the condition for being revealed. Faithfulness is the foundation, and you have walked far enough in faithfulness to enter this next stage. As it is written in book of Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. That word is not only for your moments of weakness, but also for the moments when you are about to step into something greater. For sometimes, it is the increase of light itself that makes you feel uncertain, as though you are standing before something larger than you. But you are not stepping alone. I am there, not behind you as a distant observer, but within you as your strength, and before you as the one who makes a way. Let this truth anchor your heart. You are not being watched to be corrected in order to be broken. You are being seen in order to be confirmed. There is no gaze of mine directed toward you with the intention of causing you to fall. Every gaze of mine upon you is meant to lift you, to bring to completion what I have begun within you. And when the appointed time comes, when the door I have set opens, you will no longer feel as though you are being watched as a pressure, but as a confirmation that you are standing exactly where you were called to be. So, do not step back. Do not allow fear to distort the sacred signal you are receiving. Move forward, not in haste, but in the settled assurance that you are being led. For what you are experiencing is not the closing of an old season, but the threshold of a new unveiling. And when you cross it, you will understand that everything you felt before was never meant to frighten you, but to prepare you for the light you are about to carry. My beloved child, allow your heart to quiet and receive this as a deep truth. I do not only see what you do, I see into what no one else can see, the place where motives are formed, where choices are born before actions are ever revealed. There are things you do that seem small, unnoticed, unrecorded by others. Yet I see every movement of your heart when you choose what is right over what is easy. When you act with kindness without being returned, kindness. When you remain upright, even at personal cost. When you quietly strengthen others without seeking recognition, none of these dissolve into emptiness. They become living marks before me. As it is written in Book of 1 Samuel 16:7. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart, and it is in that heart that I find your true value. Perhaps you have often wondered whether such quiet faithfulness matters at all. When no one mentions your name, when there is no applause, when what you do seems to pass without leaving a trace. But, my child, in my kingdom, nothing born of love and sincerity is ever forgotten. What you do in hiddenness becomes the foundation of what I will reveal publicly. As it is written in Book of Matthew 6:4, your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. You do not need to force yourself into the light. The light will come to you in its appointed time, because what you have sown in silence is already drawing that moment closer. Step by step, understand this clearly. I do not grant identity to those who merely long to be seen, but to those who remain faithful even when no one is watching. Identity in me is not a reward for visibility, but the outcome of inner purity. There are those who chase the approval of the world, but you are called to build something deeper, a heart that does not need to be seen in order to keep loving, a soul that does not need applause in order to keep standing firm. This is what carries spiritual weight that no external praise can replace. As it is written in Book of Matthew 5:8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And when your heart is made pure, you do not only see me, but you also reflect me in the way you live. Remember the story of the poor widow who offered 2 small coins in the temple. In the eyes of men, it was an insignificant contribution, easily overlooked among the larger offerings around her. But Jesus Christ saw what no one else saw, not the amount, but the heart, and he declared that she had given more than all the others, because she gave from her very life. Do you see? What I evaluate is not external form, but inner depth. What is given from a sincere heart always carries greater value than what is outwardly impressive but empty within. Therefore, my beloved child, do not let the feeling of being seen make you afraid or unsettled. My gaze is unlike any gaze on earth. I do not look to find fault. I look to preserve. I do not look to shame you. I look to lift you at the appointed time. When you sense an unseen attention surrounding you, do not quickly assume it is exposure meant for harm. Instead, Recognize that it may be the sign of a transition from hiddenness to public unfolding, from misunderstanding to confirmation, as it is written in Book of Psalms 37:28. The Lord loves justice and does not forsake his saints, and that faithfulness includes keeping you secure until the day you are fully revealed. You do not need to elevate yourself, nor do you need to prove your worth before anyone. I am the one who positions you, and I know precisely when you must be placed into the light. When that day comes, you will not need many words, because your life itself will speak. The years you walked in silence, the decisions you held in hiddenness, the moments you chose what was right when no one saw, all of it will come together into a testimony that cannot be denied. And when you stand in the place I have prepared, your voice will carry weight, not because you sought attention, but because I have placed my weight upon you. So rest your heart and continue to walk. Do not fear the gaze of heaven, for it is not the gaze of judgment, but the gaze of love and preservation. What you are going through is not a sign of approaching failure, but a sign of approaching unveiling. And when that moment arrives, both heaven and earth will recognize that you did not appear from nowhere, but were formed in the unseen days remembered, prepared, and guided by me step by step until this very hour. My beloved child, allow your soul to open one more deeper layer. For what I am doing in your life is not something shallow that can be grasped through passing thoughts. There are ancient images you have heard and read before, but today I do not want them to remain as distant stories. I want them to become a mirror reflecting your own journey. For what is unfolding within you is not new to heaven, yet it is deeply personal to your soul. And within that intersection, you will realize that you have never been outside my plan, never truly lost within it. There are seasons when you feel as though you have been placed at the margins, as if no one notices, no one remembers, no one truly sees you. There are days when you wonder whether your presence makes any difference at all, or whether you are simply a silent shadow moving through the flow of life. But my child, what you call being forgotten is often where I do my deepest work, when you are no longer scattered by the noise of recognition, when you no longer depend on human gaze to define your worth. That is when I begin to carve my imprint within you, and what I write in those seasons cannot be erased, cannot be replaced. Remember Hagar in the wilderness, a woman who believed she had been pushed out of the story, cast away from the place she once belonged. She carried the pain of rejection, the weight of abandonment, and entered a place that was barren not only outwardly but inwardly as well. Yet it was there, in the place where no one was looking, that she encountered El Roy, the God who sees, not a gaze that condemns, but a gaze that remembers, a gaze that responds to tears no one else hears. And she discovered something many fail to understand. Being seen by me is more real than every form of recognition the world can offer. Do you understand what I am telling you? When you think you are invisible, that may be precisely when you are most clearly seen in the spiritual realm. When you feel as though your voice has no weight, that may be when your story is being written in a language only heaven fully comprehends. As it is written in Book of Psalms 34:18, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I do not stand at a distance observing you in difficult seasons. I draw nearer. I do not abandon you in the wilderness. I manifest my presence more powerfully there than anywhere else. There are things you do in hiddenness, tears no one sees, prayers whispered when you have no strength left, moments you rise again when you no longer feel motivated. All of it is being recorded, not as a cold archive, but as a living chronicle. Your story is being written alongside stories you once thought belonged only to others. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that you did not merely read the scriptures, You lived a portion of them in a way uniquely appointed for you by me. My beloved child, do not fear the wilderness seasons in your life. Do not interpret the dry periods as signs of abandonment. Often, they are the very places where I separate you from unnecessary noise so you can hear me more clearly. So you can recognize me not only through miracles, but through presence itself. And in what seems like emptiness, I am filling you with what no one can take away. I want you to hold this as an unshakable truth. If I saw a woman weeping by a well in the wilderness, if I responded to a cry no one else heard, then how could I fail to see you, the one I marked before you even understood yourself? As it is written in book of Isaiah 43:1, I have called you by name, you are mine. You are not a forgotten fragment within my plan. You are a deliberately written part of it. Therefore, walk forward with a renewed awareness, not as one seeking to be seen, but as one who has already been seen, not as one trying to prove worth, but as one already confirmed from within. And when the time comes when I bring you out of hiddenness into public light, you will not carry fear, but steadiness. For you will know that before the world ever saw you, I already saw you. Before anyone called your name, I called it. And before your story was ever spoken aloud, it was already fully written within my heart. My beloved child, let this settle deep within you like an unerasable imprint. Your worth does not fluctuate with circumstance, nor is it diminished by any human gaze. There were moments when you allowed the words of others, or old memories, to define you, but I tell you the truth. What defines you is not in the hands of the world, but in my spoken word. And my word does not shift with time, is not distorted by failure, and is not dimmed by temporary weakness. As it is written in book of Jeremiah 31:3, I have loved you with an everlasting love. And when that love is your foundation, your value is no longer dependent on anything external. Look back on your journey, not through the eyes that were once wounded, but through the light I am giving you now. You may see cracks, places where you broke, grew tired, or wanted to stop, but I do not see those cracks as failure. I see them as openings through which my light can enter. What you call weakness, I call points of contact. What you call failure, I call the beginning of transformation. As it is written in book of 2 Corinthians 12:9, my power is made perfect in weakness. And therefore, you do not need to hide what is unfinished within you. I am already using it as the very place where wholeness is formed. There may have been days when you felt you had to become someone else in order to be accepted stronger, better, more perfect. But, my child, you were never called to become a copy of anyone. You were called to become yourself, the version I have touched, am shaping, and will bring to completion. As it is written in book of Ephesians 2:10, we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. You are not a broken identity in desperate need of repair. You are a crafted work still being formed with intention. Remember Peter, a man who once spoke boldly, yet also denied, who promised faithfulness, yet fell in a moment of weakness. Through human eyes, he could have been defined by that failure. But Jesus Christ did not see him as one who had failed. He saw him as one who would rise and become a foundation. After he fell, he was not discarded. He was restored, called again, and entrusted with purpose. And from that very life, once marked by stumbling, a new strength was born. Do you see? I do not define you by where you fall. I define you by where you rise. Therefore, my beloved child, stop seeking your value through distorted mirrors of this world. Do not measure yourself by the standards of others, nor compare your journey with anyone else. Every soul I have created carries a unique imprint, a distinct rhythm, a singular calling. When you try to become someone else, you lose what I have made uniquely yours. But when you receive yourself in my light, you begin to radiate something no one else can replicate. You do not need to reach perfection to be worthy of love. My love is not a reward for perfection. It is the foundation for transformation. I love you while you are still on the way. Not only when you arrive. I see you in process, not only an outcome. And within that process, you are becoming whole each day, not through exhausting striving, but through cooperation with my hand at work within you. Let this truth lift you. You are already enough in my eyes. Not because nothing is lacking, but because I am within you and where I dwell. Everything needed for your completion is already being provided. You do not need to become another version of yourself to be accepted. You only need to remain open so that I may complete what I have already begun. Therefore, rise with this renewed understanding. When you look at yourself, do not only see what is unfinished, see what is being formed. When you think about your future, do not imagine that you must become someone unfamiliar. Instead, trust that you are becoming your truest self, the complete version I intended from the beginning. And as you walk in this awareness, you will no longer live in pursuit of value, but from the value already placed within you. My beloved child, let this word reach the deepest place within you, the place that once believed you were merely existing through quiet days no one noticed. There are moments when you look at your life and wonder why you are in this position, why your journey does not appear as radiant as others, why there are so many silent spaces without explanation. But my child, it is precisely within those quiet spaces that I am writing the most important part of your story. Not everything of value is displayed openly. Much of it is formed in hidden places where no one sees except me. Remember Esther, a woman who did not enter the palace with the preparation of a queen, nor did she carry a noble identity from the beginning. She was brought into an unfamiliar place, living through a long process of silence, waiting, and transformation that she herself did not fully understand. There were days when she was simply one face among many, unnoticed, unnamed. But do you see? Those seemingly anonymous days were exactly the time I was preparing her for the moment an entire nation would need her voice. And when the appointed time came, she did not rise as someone randomly chosen. She rose as one who had been formed deeply enough to carry the weight of destiny. So it is with you. You are not accidentally where you are. Every position, every circumstance, every emotion you carry is not the result of chance. I have not placed you somewhere and abandoned you there. I have placed you there with intention. There are things within you that you cannot fully explain, the sensitivity to unseen realities, the inner unrest no one seems to understand, the depth of feeling that sometimes makes you feel different. But my child, these are not burdens, they are signs of preparation. I am forming within you the ability to see further, feel deeper, and understand more, not to isolate you, but to make you a forerunner. As it is written in Book of Esther 4:14, perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. That word is not only for Esther, it echoes in your life as well. You are being placed in a time, a position, a circumstance that may seem small or confusing to the natural eye. But when seen through my light, you will realize that everything is converging toward a moment where your voice will carry transformation. Perhaps, in this present season, you still feel as though you are in a palace of silence where no one fully knows who you are, where you have not yet been fully revealed. But do not mistake silence for insignificance. This is where I am teaching you to stand without recognition, to remain faithful without being seen, to carry weight without needing to announce it. And what you are learning in that hidden place will become the foundation that keeps you from collapsing when you are placed into the public eye. My beloved child, Do not try to step out of the place where I have positioned you before the appointed time. Do not rush to seek the light while I am still working within the shadowed places. For if you step out too early, you will not yet carry the weight required to stand firm. But when I bring you forth, you will not need to strive to prove anything, because your very presence will speak for itself. Believe this, you are being trained not for a small role, but for influence. Your voice will not merely reach a few, it will open pathways for many who come after you. What you are learning today will become a key for others tomorrow. And when you rise, you will not stand only for yourself, but for a line of people I will lead through you. So continue to walk in peace. You do not need to understand everything, nor see everything, only trust that I am at work. You are not forgotten in the silent days. You are being prepared within them. And when the appointed moment comes, you will realize that not a single moment of your journey was meaningless. All of it was guiding you to the exact place I had intended from the beginning. My beloved child, let your heart rest in this truth as an unshakable foundation. My gaze upon you never diminishes you, nor does it cause you to shrink in fear. Every time I turn toward you, it is an act of lifting, a confirmation that you belong to me and are being carried within the flow of my purpose. The world may look at you through shifting standards, measuring you by success or failure, but I do not measure you that way. I see you with complete understanding of what you have walked through, what you are carrying, and what you are becoming. And within that sight, there is no uncertainty about your worth, only the affirmation that you are exactly what I intended from the beginning. You have grown accustomed to gazes that make you question whether you are good enough or worthy enough, but my gaze does not place you in comparison, nor demand that you become someone else. I do not look at you to find a better version. I look at you to complete the version I already began. As it is written in Book of Psalms 139:14, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That is not a temporary statement. It is a truth woven into your very being. You are not an experiment. You are a work crafted with precision and love. Think of how a skilled craftsman looks upon his work. He does not reject the whole because some parts are unfinished. He beholds it with patience, knowing each detail is moving toward completion. I look upon you in the same way, not as something incomplete to be dismissed, but as a work being brought to fullness at the right time. As it is written in Book of Philippians 1:6, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. You do not need to force the process. You only need to remain in my hands. Remember Book of Jeremiah, a man who once felt too young, too weak, and insufficient to speak what I had placed upon him. Yet I did not look at him through the lens of his self-doubt. I told him, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Book of Jeremiah 1-5. Do you see? His value did not begin when he felt ready. It was established long before he recognized it. And as he walked in that calling, he did not become someone else. He became exactly who I had intended him to be. So it is with you. You do not need to transform into a foreign ideal in order to be accepted by me. You only need to stand within the very identity I breathed into you. You are woven with purpose, not randomness, written with light, not darkness, held by love, not condition. Every moment you live, even the ones you consider insignificant, is being preserved by me with a reverence you have not yet fully understood. Not because I need to remember, but because I intend to reveal you at the appointed time, with the full depth of what I have been forming. Therefore, my beloved child, stand upright, not in pride, but in stability. You are not a discarded draft. You are a completed design still unfolding toward its appointed fullness. When you feel as though you are being seen, do not assume it is surveillance for fault-finding. Recognize it as presence meant to lift you. When you feel as though your life is being recorded. Do not interpret it as evidence for accusation. Understand it as preparation for a day when you will be revealed in affirmation. Nothing unfolding in your life is random. Every step you take, every emotion you carry, every season you pass through is part of a structured flow I am guiding. And when the appointed moment comes, when I call your name into the light, you will no longer look back at your past as scattered fragments, but as a complete story written by my hand. Be at peace, my child. You are not being watched to be feared. You are being remembered to be called. You are not being seen to be judged. You are being seen to be upheld. And within all of this, I remain here. The one who formed you is guiding you and will bring you to completion in the most whole and perfect way. My beloved child, rise now in this renewed awareness, for this is no longer the season where you merely hold what I have sown within you. It is the season where you begin to walk in it. What I have inscribed into your journey in hiddenness was never meant to remain as memory, but to become the foundation for your forward movement. You have walked through seasons unseen, days where you thought you were merely existing. Yet even in those days, I was accomplishing more than you realized. As it is written in book of Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those who love God. And that includes even the paths you once believed were meaningless. I hear the words you speak in the quiet places, your fatigue, your fear, your sense of not being enough yet. But my child, no one enters the light feeling fully ready. True readiness is not the absence of fear, but the decision to rise even while fear remains. Authority does not come to those who stay lying down in hesitation. It comes to those who stand up in trust. As it is written in book of Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid. This is not a word for those who feel no fear, but for those who choose to move forward in spite of it. Look at yourself again through the light I give you. You have walked through long nights no one understood, carried wounds no one saw, and remained standing in moments when you could have collapsed. These are not merely memories, they are authority. No one can purchase what you have received through perseverance. No talent can replace the depth that has been formed within you through trial. And that is what gives your present steps weight, not the weight of pressure, but the weight of confirmation. Remember Joshua at the edge of the Jordan River. The waters had not yet parted, the circumstances had not yet changed. But my word had already been spoken. Go forward. He did not wait for the waters to split before stepping in. He stepped first, and then the waters made way. Do you see? Light does not always precede obedience. Often it follows it. So it is with you. You do not need to see the entire path before beginning. You only need to step into what I have placed before you today. My beloved child, do not walk with the mindset of proving anything to anyone. You are not called to convince the world that you are worthy. You are called to live what I have placed within you. And as you walk in that awareness, you will no longer chase validation. You will become a source of confirmation for others. Your presence will speak more than your words, because it carries my imprint. I do not require you to run faster, nor do I push you into a pace that drains you. I only ask you to walk, but to walk knowing you are never alone. I go before you to open the way. I dwell within you to sustain you, and I surround you to protect you. As it is written in book of Deuteronomy 31:8, the Lord himself goes before you. He will be with you. Therefore, every step you take is not recklessness, but partnership with heaven. Today is not simply the ending of something old. It is a transfer. The season in which you were remembered in hiddenness is not erased. It becomes the foundation of the season in which you are revealed. What you have lived does not remain behind you. It goes with you as a living testimony. And when you step out, you will not carry emptiness, but a journey already formed and complete enough to steady your steps. So, my child, Walk forward, not in perfection, not with full certainty of everything, but with faithfulness to what I place before you right now. Do not delay out of fear, nor withdraw out of doubt. I have done my part within you, and now it is time for you to do yours. Rise and move, and as you move, you will realize something you did not fully understand before, that light is not a destination you must search for. It is a place you are meant to enter. I have already opened the door. You only need to pass through it. My beloved child, look at your life now with eyes that are being illuminated. For what you consider small is carrying the signs of a great transition. I am working within you not through loud external upheavals, but through subtle shifts that only a waking soul can perceive. When you notice that your thoughts are no longer as they once were, when you begin to see things with greater clarity, when what once destabilized you no longer holds authority over you, that is not coincidence. It is an upgrade unfolding within your mind. As it is written in book of Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that renewal is the sign that you are stepping into a new layer of awareness I have prepared. There are people who have left your life, and you once thought it was loss. But I tell you this, not every departure is loss. Often it is refinement. I am removing what no longer belongs to where you are going, so that you do not carry the weight of the past into the doorway of your future. When you feel emptiness, it is not meaningless space. It is space I am preparing to fill with what is new. As it is written in book of John 15:2, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. And pruning can feel like losing, but in truth, it is making room for greater life. Even the fatigue you are feeling carries a deeper meaning than you realize. You interpret it as weakness, but I see it as the sign of a soul in transition, like one who is carrying life within. The exhaustion is not from failure, but from formation. Something spiritual is growing within you, requiring adjustment, release, and transformation. And that very fatigue is a reminder that you are no longer in the place you once were. You are in the process of becoming something new. My beloved child, have you noticed the small promptings within your heart? When you feel the desire to clean a space long neglected, when you want to write something you have been postponing, when you sense the need to change how you use your time, when you feel drawn to step away from old habits, these are not passing thoughts. They are not random impulses. I am the one leading you. I do not always begin with what is large. I begin with what is small, yet aligned. And when you respond to these small promptings, you are walking in step with the movement of heaven within your life. As it is written in book of Zechariah 4:10, do not despise the day of small things, for these small things are the very pathways through which what is greater is being built. When you answer something you have delayed, when you cut off a habit that no longer aligns with you, when you bring order into what was once disorder, you are not only organizing your external life, you are restructuring your inner life. Each action becomes a step closer to the position I have prepared for you, not through sudden breakthrough, but through steady, faithful alignment day by day. Remember Nehemiah when he rebuilt the wall. The work was not completed through a sudden miracle, but through stone by stone being placed in its rightful position, through small sections completed with perseverance. To the outside observer, each stone seemed insignificant, yet it was the accumulation of those small acts that restored an entire city's strength. So it is with you. You are not building a physical wall, but a stable life that will stand firm when fully formed. My beloved child, the day you are revealed will not come as a sudden event that shakes everything violently. It will come as a natural transition, when you have walked far enough in faithfulness, and you will realize you have already entered it without noticing, because you have been living it step by step. Each time you choose discipline over indulgence, you expand your capacity. Each time you choose order over chaos, you prepare yourself for clarity. Each time you offer gratitude in ordinary things, you tune your inner life to the rhythm of heaven. As it is written in book of 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances. For gratitude is not merely a reaction, it is an opening. When you live in thankfulness, you do not only recognize what is present, you also make room for what is coming. And in that posture, you become ready, not because you have achieved perfection, but because you have been aligned from within. Therefore, my child, do not wait for a great sign in order to begin. You already have signs in the small things, in the quiet shifts, in the promptings you can no longer ignore. Obey them one by one. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to remain faithful. For you are not merely living for the present moment, you are being prepared for what is growing within you. And I tell you truthfully, you are not only changing your life, you are stepping into the destiny I have appointed from the beginning, step by step, choice by choice, action by small action, being led into the place where you are called to stand. My beloved child, hear this as a deep unlocking. You are no longer in a season of uncertain waiting. You are entering a season of response, where what I have already sown within you begins to demand expression through action. Not action driven by pressure or haste, but action rooted in certainty, in the recognition that you are no longer outside my plan, but fully within its flow. As it is written in book of 2 Timothy 1:7, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. And it is this very power that is awakening within you. I did not place light within you for you to hide it indefinitely. I did not place a voice within you for it to remain unused in silence. I did not place spiritual sensitivity and understanding within you so that you would remain on the margins of your own life. Everything I give carries with it a purpose of movement and expression. And now is the time for you to understand this. My presence within you is always oriented toward unfolding, not permanent concealment. You may still tremble. You may still doubt. You may still not see the full picture, but I am not asking you to see everything. I am calling you to step. Remember Moses when I called him to stand before the people and before the power of Egypt. He did not begin with perfect confidence. He began with hesitation, with questions about himself, with the sense that he did not have enough words to speak. But I did not choose him because he was already ready by human standards. I chose him because I would be with him in every step. And as he stepped forward while still trembling, power began to operate. So it is with you not. Perfection is waiting for you, but obedience in the first step. I do not require you to leap across everything at once. I only place before you one step, the first step. And that step, though small, carries within it the movement of an entire future. Those who are revealed are not those who are without weakness, but those who do not allow weakness to keep them from moving forward. Those who are declared by me are not those who no longer experience doubt, but those who refuse to let doubt paralyze their steps. Look again at your life now, for the signs I am placing around you are not random. Doors that once seemed closed are beginning to open, not loudly, but enough for you to recognize that stagnation is no longer your portion. People who once did not listen to you are beginning to pay attention to your words, as though something within you is becoming clearer, weightier, more influential. Thoughts that once passed and disappeared are returning with a clarity you can no longer ignore, as though they are knocking at the door of your spirit, asking to be carried out. Even the changes in your voice and in the way you carry yourself are not accidental. You once thought these were only emotions, but I tell you truthfully, this is transition. I am adjusting what is within you so that what is expressed through you no longer reflects withdrawal, but placement. When you begin to speak with greater clarity, When you begin to stand with greater stability, when you begin to be present without needing permission, that is the sign that I am reordering something within you. As it is written in book of Isaiah 49:6, I will make you a light for the nations. Light is not created to remain hidden within darkness. It is placed to shine outward. And I am leading you out of the posture of holding back, into the posture of overflow and expression, not by force, but by an awakening from within. My beloved child, I am reshaping your stance, not only in your body, but in your spirit. You will no longer carry authority as an abstract idea. It will begin to manifest in the way you see, the way you walk, the way you choose, the way you exist in the world, not to impress others, but to reflect what I have placed within you. And as you walk in this way, you will realize that you are no longer striving to become something. You are finally living in alignment with what you were created to be. Therefore, my child, begin. Do not wait for another sign. Do not wait for the feeling of perfection. Do not wait until everything feels certain. Only take the step forward. For I am not at the end of the road to condemn you for delay. I am already present within your very first step, turning it into the beginning of what I have ordained. My beloved child, let this word be sealed deeply within you as an unerasable confirmation. I am leading you into a new level of life, where you no longer operate from the lower place of doubt, but from a higher place of awareness and authority. This is not something you create, nor something you strive to obtain. It is something I am establishing within you according to my appointed process. The promotion I speak of is not elevation, as the world understands it, no fame, no position, no external recognition. It begins within you, in the way you see yourself, in the way you understand your value, in the way you stand before what once caused you to shrink back. When you begin to see yourself through my perspective, you are no longer distorted by fear, no longer defined by your past, and no longer limited by words that once caused you to hesitate. As it is written in book of Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, for it is this renewal that opens the door into a higher dimension of life. You are being brought into a season where your voice will no longer diminish under doubt, but will carry weight from inner confirmation, not because you are trying to make it larger, but because I am placing stability within you. When you speak, what comes forth will not be mere sound, but the reflection of a life that has been refined. When you are present, you will no longer simply be there, but you will carry a spiritual order that shifts the atmosphere around you. When you act, you will no longer respond from insecurity, but operate from guidance. Remember Joseph when he was lifted from prison into a position of governance? The change did not begin when he stood before the king. It began in the years of being forgotten, where he learned to remain faithful when no one was watching. And because he was faithful in the low place, he was able to stand in the high place without being broken by its weight. So it is with you. I am not suddenly elevating you, but preparing you so that you will not be shattered when placed into what is next. My beloved child, I am not calling you into the chaos of false confidence, but into the steadiness of rightful authority. The elevation I give you does not make you arrogant, it makes you clearer about who you are. You no longer walk as one who must ask permission for your existence, but as one entrusted with a place within my plan. As it is written in book of Isaiah 42:6, I will appoint you as a light to the nations. And light does not request permission to shine, it simply shines because that is its nature. You are being brought into a season where your very presence will bring stability to others, not because you are striving to become a source for them, but because what I have placed within you carries a releasing power by itself. When you enter a place, the spiritual atmosphere will shift, not because you are doing something dramatic, but because you carry within you an order I have established. This does not come from effort, but from alignment with me. So, my child, remain steady in this awareness. Do not exaggerate it, and do not diminish it. Simply receive the truth that you are standing at a transition point. You are no longer the one observing my plan from the outside. You are stepping into its flow, and within that flow, you will realize that everything you have walked through has not derailed you, but has been guiding you precisely into the position I prepared beforehand. From this moment onward, you no longer walk as one seeking permission. You walk as one who has been sent not by man, but by me. And as you walk in this recognition, you will see that you no longer need to strive to prove anything, because your very life will begin to carry the imprint of the one who sent you. My beloved child, let this word settle as a firm seal within your soul, not to keep you in emotion, but to lead you forward in the deep awareness that your journey has never been outside my hand. You have been written into the memory of heaven, not as a static record stored away, but as a living story awaiting the precise moment of my unfolding. Nothing I record in your life is meaningless, and no moment of your faithfulness has been overlooked. As it is written in Book of Psalms 103-17, the steadfast love of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear him. And that remembrance is not to hold you in the past, but to lead you into the future I have already appointed. You are no longer held within the way the world once saw you, not as a record to be examined for faults, but as a life I am confirming step by step. The old seasons are no longer chains, they are foundations. What you have walked through is no longer a limitation. It has become evidence that you have been carried through. I do not allow your past to write your future. What I have established within you is the true writing. Remember Mordecai, the man who once sat quietly at the city gate, without recognition or elevated status. Yet, in a single night, forgotten records were opened, and what had been overlooked became the very foundation for elevation at the appointed time. Not by chance, but because my timing is always perfect. So it is with you. No moment of your faithfulness has been lost from the book of heaven. My beloved child, I do not hold you in memory to anchor you in the past, but to call you forward. When I remember you, it is not recollection, it is activation. When I look upon you, it is not evaluation, it is confirmation that the appointed time is drawing near. You are not being seen to be confined by what has been. You are being seen to be released into what is coming. Therefore, rise in this complete awareness. You are no longer one searching for light at a distance. You are the one carrying light into the places that need it. You are no longer waiting for doors to open in the way you expect. You walk, and the doors open according to my design. You are no longer observed to record failure. You are remembered to be revealed at the appointed moment. As it is written in Book of Isaiah 49-6, I will make you a light for the nations, and that light does not come from your striving, but from what I have placed within you. You were seen in hiddenness, not as something concealed, but as something being prepared. And now, what has been prepared will step into manifestation. Walk forward, not in doubt, but in assurance, not in waiting, but in movement, not as one asking permission to exist, but as one carrying my imprint on every step. For I have seen you in secret, and now I am bringing you into the place where what I have formed in you is no longer hidden but seen. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely an audience. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any spiritual message. Amen. My beloved child, in the quiet movements unfolding within your life, there is one truth you must inscribe, deeper than any passing emotion. The confirmation that comes from me is never born out of haste, nor is it carried along by the shifting tides of human feeling. It is not formed by the pressure to know immediately, nor does it arise to satisfy your impatience. I do not operate according to the urgency of emotion, but according to the perfect rhythm of eternity, where all things are placed in their rightful position, at the right moment, and with the right intention. And when I touch your life with the confirmation of heaven, it does not stir chaos within your mind, but quiets every noise. It does not drive you into confusion, but leads you into a deep awareness that I am present, guiding and arranging all things in the order of love. There are moments when you assume that confirmation must come like a thunderclap, a powerful sign that instantly redirects your path. But I tell you the opposite. My confirmation often arrives like a gentle breeze that calms your heart, like a slow light unfolding within the dim places of your thoughts. It does not make you rush forward, but causes you to pause. It does not provoke impulsiveness, but leads you into a stillness that is fully aware. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. In that stillness, I do not merely reveal my will, I also realign the rhythm within you so that you may discern my voice clearly, without confusion from the voices of fear or desire. Remember that my timing always carries within it an undeniable beauty. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11 is not merely a word of comfort, but a principle of the kingdom of heaven. What I confirm for you will not come too early to break you, nor too late to leave you in despair. It comes at the precise moment when your spirit is able to stand firm and receive it. And in that perfect timing, you will recognize that what I do does not bring confusion, but clarity, not heaviness, but lightness, not doubt, but deeper understanding of the path before you. I do not confirm to feed emotional intensity within you, but to establish direction within your soul. Listen to me through an ancient account in Scripture, where a young man named Gideon was called in a time when he was still full of doubt and hesitation. When I sent my messenger to him, he did not immediately grasp the fullness of what I was doing. He asked for a sign, and then another, as though his heart was searching for certainty in the midst of fear and battle. He laid out a fleece and asked that it be wet while the ground remained dry. And then he asked for the opposite. And I answered him not because I am limited by signs, but because I was leading him into a gradual awareness of my calling. Through each sign, I was not only confirming the mission, but also healing the doubt within him. This was not indulgence of weakness, but a process I used to move a person from instability to steadiness, from uncertainty to clarity, from fear to obedience. As it is written, the Lord said to Gideon, "I will be with you." Judges 6:16. And it is that presence which is the greatest confirmation, surpassing every outward sign. My beloved, it is the same in your life today. I am not seeking to sweep you away with fleeting emotions, but I am leading you into a stability of soul where you are no longer shaken by endless questions. When I confirm something within your life, you will notice a quiet gathering within you. What once felt tangled begins to align. What once brought pressure begins to settle. And what once caused confusion becomes gently clear. This is not coincidence, but a sign that I am arranging your inner world so that you may rightly discern the path before you. I never confirm in order to push you into chaotic decisions, but to place you within a peace that carries direction. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye upon you. Psalm 32:8. As you walk in that guidance, you will no longer need to strain yourself to find answers, for the answers will gradually become a deep knowing within you. You will no longer chase after many voices, for my voice will become clearer than them all. Therefore, do not rush to interpret my confirmation as something that must come instantly or produce overwhelming sensations. Learn to recognize it through the stillness it brings, through the clarity it establishes, and through the stability it plants within your spirit. If you find your heart becoming quiet, if the things that once unsettled you no longer hold the same power, if you begin to see a clearer path without striving to analyze, this is my work within you. I have not withdrawn from you in this process. I do not leave you to navigate your choices alone. I am there, within every quiet movement, adjusting the rhythm inside you so that you do not lose your way. And when you begin to recognize that this peace does not come from circumstances, but from my very presence, you will understand that the greatest confirmation is not what you see outwardly, but what you perceive deep within, that I am leading you. I am with you, and I am making a way for you to step into what has been ordained for you from eternity. My beloved, allow me to open to you a deeper layer of the truth you are seeking, not as something for your mind to grasp, but as something for your soul to rest in. Spiritual confirmation does not move according to impatience, nor is it distorted by the surging emotions of humanity. It never comes before the moment you are able to bear it, nor does it arrive too late to cause you to lose direction. It always comes at the precise time I have appointed, when you are no longer trembling in anxious longing, but have become still enough to hear, soft enough to receive, and steady enough not to distort what I speak. There have been moments when you cried out to me with urgency, "Lord, give me a sign," and you felt as though the heavens were silent, as though the answer had been delayed. But I tell you, that is not my absence. It is my intentional arrangement. I am not silent because I do not see you, nor because I do not care. I am silent to protect you from what you are not yet mature enough to understand rightly. For if I were to speak while your heart is still misaligned, you would hear me through fear. If I were to confirm while your soul is still unstable, you would turn that confirmation into pressure. And I do not desire my word to become a burden to you, but a life that upholds you. You have thought that you were waiting for my answer. But the deeper truth is this: I have been waiting for you to enter a state in which you can receive my word without distorting it. As it is written, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, it will surely come. It will not delay." Habakkuk Uch. The waiting is not on my part, as though I were delaying, but within your formation where layers of doubt, haste, and anxiety are being refined so that you do not receive what is holy with unprepared hands. Remember the prophet Samuel, when he was still a boy lying in the temple. One night, my voice called his name, yet he did not immediately recognize that it was me. He ran to Eli, for his mind could not yet distinguish between my voice and the sounds of ordinary life. But I did not abandon him. I continued to call, not because I was repeating a phrase, but because I was teaching him how to discern. And when Eli instructed him to respond, "Speak, for your servant is listening," 1 Samuel 3:10, it was not only his ears that opened, but his soul stepped into a new dimension of awareness. I was not merely speaking to him, I was training him to hear rightly. In the same way, within your life, the silences you once thought were abandonment are, in truth, the spaces where I am refining the sensitivity of your spirit. I am teaching you to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of guidance, between the impulse of emotion and the confirmation of heaven. I do not rush, for I am not bound by time, but I remain faithful to the process forming within you. For if you receive too early, you will run ahead of me. If you perceive it as too late, I am in fact protecting you from moving in the wrong direction while believing you are right. I want you to understand this deeply. Confirmation is not a reward for waiting, but the result of spiritual preparation, and at times, the waiting itself is the place where I am shaping you, so that you do not turn what is sacred into something driven by emotion. I am not withholding my word from you. I am keeping you in a state where you are ready, so that when it comes, it does not break you but lifts you. Look to the story of Abraham, who received the promise of a lineage, yet had to walk through a long stretch that seemed like silence. It was not because I had forgotten the promise, but because I was forming within him a faith that would not depend on immediate circumstances. There were nights when he lifted his eyes to the sky and saw nothing but waiting. Yet within those very nights, I was shaping in him a trust that surpassed what could be seen. And when the appointed time came, what had been promised was not only fulfilled, but carried a steadfastness that only time held in my hands could produce. Therefore, my beloved, do not interpret silence as rejection, nor delay as absence. I am working deeper than what you are able to perceive. I am preparing not only the answer, but your heart as well, so that you may hold that answer without being led astray. I want you to rest in this truth. You are not the one chasing confirmation. Confirmation itself is being set in its rightful place and will come to you when you have become a vessel fit to receive it. And when that moment arrives, you will no longer ask, "Is this truly from you?" For the peace within you will answer on my behalf, "This is indeed my work at hand." Be at peace, my child, for not one of my words is forgotten. Not one of my appointed times is misplaced, and not one process I have begun within you will end in meaninglessness. I am leading you into a clarity that does not create chaos, but builds, that does not unsettle you, but establishes you. And within that leading, you will come to understand that what you once called waiting has always been the journey through which I am quietly preparing you to encounter me more fully. My beloved, allow me to draw you deeper still into a realm of awareness that is not heard by the natural ear, but discerned by the soul. When the time I have ordained in the heavens begins to unfold in your life, the first sign is not an outward spectacle, but a quiet shift within. The noises that once crowded your mind, anxiety, prediction, comparison, fear, no longer occupy the center. They may still linger around you, but they no longer hold authority. And within the stillness that is being established, one voice rises above all others, my voice. I speak this to you as light for one walking through mist. You are not lost. Even if you once believed you were, you are simply in the process of being realigned to see more clearly the path that has always been before you. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. A lamp does not illuminate the entire sky at once. It gives just enough light for each step. And in this, it keeps you in the right dependence upon me, rather than upon your own ability to direct yourself. Listen as I remind you of a moment in Scripture. When two disciples walked along the road to Emmaus after all their hope seemed shattered, they walked under the weight of confusion, speaking of things they did not understand, their eyes veiled by disappointment. Then one came alongside them, yet they did not recognize that it was I drawing near in a hidden form. I walked with them, listened to them, and led them through every memory, every prophecy, every sign they had once known but had not yet understood. And when the bread was broken, their eyes were opened, and they realized that I had been with them all along. Luke 24:13-31. Do you see? My confirmation does not always come as a sudden shock, but often as a gradual opening of the eyes. I was there even when you thought you were alone. I walked beside you even when you believed you were moving on your own. Yet you recognized me only when your mind was no longer clouded by disappointment or the urgency to understand everything at once. Therefore, when I confirm something in your life, you will not be overwhelmed as though swept into a storm. Instead, you will sense a deep reorientation. You will know where you stand within my plan, True confirmation does not throw you into panic. It settles you into a peace so profound that you realize, I have never been abandoned. I have always been held in the hands of the one who leads me. I do not confirm in order to sweep you into heightened emotion, but to establish you firmly in the place I have already appointed for you. It is like a traveler in the desert who, believing he has lost his way, suddenly sees a small light on the horizon. That light is not loud, nor overwhelming, yet it is enough to say to you, you are still moving in the right direction. My beloved, as you enter the season in which I am leading you, you will come to see that the greatest transformation is not in outward circumstances, but in the purity of your ability to hear. You will no longer be pulled by every voice around you. You will no longer waver at every invitation. You will know how to pause at the right moment, to move at the right time, and to remain still when I call you into stillness. And when this takes place, you will understand that I am not only guiding you along the way, but forming you into one who can live within that guidance without becoming lost. You will no longer ask, where should I go? But rather, what are you saying? For my voice itself will become a living map within your soul. Rest in this, my child, when every noise begins to fade. It does not mean you are losing direction, but that you are being brought into the very center of true guidance. And there, I am not only the one who directs the path, but the very light upon which you walk. My beloved, allow me to soothe the places where you have doubted yourself, where you once stood amid layered thoughts and questioned whether you had heard incorrectly. I have seen those moments when you turned inward and whispered, what if this is only a passing feeling? I have seen the weight within that question, not because you are weak, but because you long for accuracy, because you desire not to walk wrongly in your spiritual journey with me. But I speak to you with the certainty of the one who does not change. You have not heard wrongly. You are simply in a span of time where what is true has not yet fully taken form. When the appointed moment has not yet arrived, even light can resemble darkness, not because its nature has changed, but because your eyes have not yet been aligned to the right perspective. Yet when my appointed time unfolds, everything that once seemed unclear will arrange itself, and you will see plainly, I was there from the beginning, and my voice has never departed from you. My beloved, learn to discern my imprint. Everything that comes from me carries a deep peace that the world cannot produce. As it is written, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. That peace is not a fleeting emotion, but a steady condition within your soul, where you are no longer driven by confusion. If a certain awareness draws you toward me, making you more still, more clear, and no longer forcing you to strain to understand, this is my sign. But if something pulls you into a cycle of anxiety, causing urgency, tension, or endless self-doubt, this is not my voice. I do not lead you through pressure. I do not guide you through disorder. I lead you by light, never by the darkness of confusion. Remember the prophet Elisha when he faced an army surrounding the city. His servant was overwhelmed with fear because he saw only the enemy. But Elisha prayed, Lord, open his eyes. 2 Kings 6:17. And when his spiritual sight was opened, he saw that the armies of heaven surrounding them were greater than anything visible to the natural eye. Do you see? The truth had always been there, but the capacity to perceive it needed to be opened at the right moment. And this is precisely what I am doing in your life now, opening your eyes to see what has always been present. My beloved, I also want you to understand that my confirmation is not limited to direct words. I do not speak only through audible sound or clearly formed thoughts within your mind. I weave confirmation into the very flow of your daily life. so that you may come to recognize that I am not distant, but present in even the smallest details. At times, I allow someone to unintentionally speak the very thing you have been contemplating deep within, like a mirror reflecting thoughts you have not yet put into words. At times, I use a passing remark, seemingly random, yet it awakens precisely what you are trying to discern. At times, I lead you through a prolonged silence, not to abandon you, but to refine the clarity of the voice within you. At times, I bring back a memory, not to pull you into the past, but to show you how I have preserved you, even when you were unaware. And I want you to rest in this truth. You do not need to strain yourself to discern everything immediately. You do not need to condemn yourself for moments of doubt. I do not look upon you with judgment, but with guidance. I am teaching you to recognize me not through pressure, but through intimacy, not through fear, but through peace, not through confusion, but through a light that gradually unfolds. You will come to a moment when, looking back, you will see clearly, there was never a moment when I was not there. No signal was random. No delay was neglect. All of it has been a symphony I have been composing in your life, where every note has its place and every silence carries meaning. Therefore, cease doubting yourself as you seek me. Learn to pause and ask something simpler. Does this draw me closer to you? For this is the standard of heaven. And as you walk by that measure, you will come to understand that I am not a distant one who must be found through exhaustion, but the one who is present in every step you take, gently leading you into a clarity that never produces confusion, but always brings a deep and enduring peace. My beloved, listen deeply as I place this truth within you, not as a passing comfort, but as a pillar upon which your soul may stand firm amid the fluctuations that have wearied you. I know you have walked through many seasons of inner struggle, where you questioned yourself, where you doubted even the most inward impressions you once held. You feared that you were off course, that you were persuading yourself, that you were hearing incorrectly along your spiritual path. But I speak to you with unchanging faithfulness. If you are not being carried away by fleeting emotions, if you are not allowing ambition to lead you, if you are not relying on the noise of the world to determine your direction, then what you are sensing in your depths is not an illusion. It is an awakening being stirred by the Spirit within you, where I am touching the deepest layer, untouched by hurried reasoning or surface-level fear. Hold fast to this principle as an unshakable foundation. Spiritual confirmation always arrives at the right time, because it is not merely information, it is an opening of a door. And a door opens only when you are positioned rightly before it. If I were to open it too soon, you would carry what your heart is not yet strong enough to sustain. Like fruit, taken before it is ripe, appearing as harvest, yet not ready to nourish. If I were to open it too late, you would grow weary in the search and misinterpret my silence. But I am never late. I set all things within the precise rhythm of eternity, where there is neither excess nor lack. I do not keep you in waiting as though to toy with your heart. I am shaping you so that, when confirmation comes, it does not crush you, but lifts you. You think you are waiting for my answer, but in the deeper realm, I am waiting for you to become still enough not to distort the answer when it arrives. For if your heart is too noisy, you will hear my voice through fear. If your soul is too hurried, you will turn my guidance into pressure. But when you enter the stillness into which I am leading you, my word will become life to you, no longer an inner struggle. Remember Gideon at the moment I called him in the midst of his own weakness. He did not immediately understand my confirmation. He trembled. He sought signs. He questioned his own ability. Yet I did not leave him. I led him step by step from doubt to recognition, from fear to steadiness, from hiding to stepping forward. As it is written, the Lord said to Gideon, "I will be with you." Judges 6:16. It is my presence that is the deepest confirmation, not outward signs, but the inner certainty being formed within you. My beloved, I want you to understand that what has been rising within you recently is not self-persuasion, but a spiritual awakening unfolding in its proper process. I am leading you out of the cycle of self-doubt, where you continually question your own experiences, and into a new state, one where you no longer contend with what I am doing, but learn to recognize it through peace. And this is the most essential sign you must learn to discern. My true confirmation always draws you out of self-doubt, never deeper into it. It does not cause you to shrink, but expands your awareness. It does not confuse you, but establishes you. It does not pull you into endless analysis, but brings you into a place of rest where you know, I am being led. My child, I do not leave you to dwell in prolonged uncertainty. I am guiding you out of the realm of spiritual interference, where you felt compelled to verify everything by your own strength. I am bringing you into a deeper dimension where discernment is no longer a struggle, but a harmony with me. And as you step into this, you will realize, I have never been silent. You are simply learning to listen in a new way, one that is no longer governed by fear, but led by peace. Just as an aircraft can only receive clear guidance signals once it rises above the turbulence of the lower atmosphere and enters a stable layer of air, so it is with your soul. While you are pulled down by the gravity of fear, surrounded by the interference of confusion, and anchored by the old attachments of your former self, it becomes difficult to perceive my subtle signals. But when you begin to separate yourself from the voices that are not mine, when you no longer allow small anxieties to dictate your direction, when you dare to let your heart enter into a quiet surrender, then you are moving into the realm where I can speak to you with clarity. My beloved, I want you to understand that the inner stirring you have been sensing is not random, nor is it something produced by your own thoughts. It is a sign that you are being brought into the right spiritual atmosphere, where my presence is no longer distant, but becomes increasingly discernible. You do not need to strive to hear me. You simply need to remain within the stillness I am leading you into. And you will come to realize that my voice has never been silent. You are only now being attuned to hear at the right frequency. You will begin to notice that you can distinguish between things that once seemed indistinguishable. A word that appeared ordinary will suddenly carry the weight of guidance. An encounter that seemed random will reveal the imprint of intentional design. A prolonged silence will no longer trouble you, but will become a space in which you listen more deeply. A gentle stirring within your heart will no longer be dismissed as a fleeting emotion, but will become a signal you learn to honor. I do not open your eyes by adding more information, for information does not produce discernment. I open your eyes by making you more sensitive to my presence in the smallest details of your life. You will begin to sense the spiritual quality of something before you are able to explain it in words. This is why there are moments when you know something is right or not right before you understand why you know it. This is not guesswork, it is awakened awareness. I am training you to live within that awareness as something natural. You will find yourself no longer drawn into excessive analysis of every situation, but learning instead to pause, to feel, and to recognize the peace or the weight within your heart as a form of guidance. You will begin to see that I am placing points of light along your path not to confuse you, but to lead you step by step with precision. And as you go deeper into that realm, you will understand that I am not only the one who speaks to you in extraordinary moments, but the one who is present in every subtle signal, every gentle stirring, every quiet peace that guides you forward until you no longer question my voice, but live in the awareness that I am here, and that I am leading you step by step in perfect measure. just as the dawn does not suddenly burst across the sky in a single instant, but gradually spreads from the horizon, touching each area of darkness with a steady and gentle light. So my illumination comes to you in the same way. It is not loud, not forced, not overwhelming, but consistent and alive. And within that process, there will be moments when you look back at yourself and wonder, why did I not see this before? But I tell you, it was not because you lacked wisdom, nor because you lacked sensitivity. It was because the appointed time had not yet been revealed. I am leading you through such a process not by adding something foreign into you, but by enabling you to see rightly the reality that has always existed within my plan. And when my light shifts its angle, what once seemed unclear suddenly becomes evident. Relationships, decisions, and paths that once confused you now reveal their true form, not because they have changed, but because you have been brought into a higher position of awareness. Each time you look back and find that you understand more clearly what was once obscure. It is not reality that has changed, but your capacity to see that has expanded. I do not give light randomly. I adjust it according to each stage of your journey. There are times when I show you only a small portion so that you are not overwhelmed. There are times when I broaden your vision so that you begin to perceive connections. And there are times when I unveil the full picture so that you may recognize that I have been guiding you from the very beginning. My child, I want you to stop condemning yourself for seasons when you could not see clearly. I do not regard you as lacking understanding, but as one being trained to see at the right time. In that training, there are layers that must be removed gradually, not because I am slow, but because you must be kept safe in the unfolding. There are things that, if seen too early, you would not know how to hold. There are things that, if revealed too quickly, you would not have the peace to receive. But when I open them according to my rhythm, you will not only see, you will stand firm in what you see. And that is of greater value than any momentary understanding, the ability to stand steady in the light. I am bringing you into that state where you are no longer unsettled by shifts in perception, but begin to recognize that everything is being revealed in proper sequence. And when you look back upon your journey, you will not see scattered, meaningless fragments, but a continuous, subtle, and precise leading that has come from me. Therefore, be at peace. The light does not leave you behind. It moves with you, layer by layer, step by step, until you no longer ask, why did I not see this before? But instead say with deep peace, now I understand, because now I have been brought to the place where I can see. First, you must engrave this as an unshakable foundation. My voice always carries a mark that cannot be imitated peace. But understand peace as heaven defines it, not as human emotion defines it. My peace is not always comfort, not merely a passing sense of ease, nor the absence of problems. My peace is an inner stability, where your soul is not shaken, even while external circumstances continue to move. Picture this. You stand in a room filled with noise, movement, and sounds that could scatter your attention. Yet there is a gaze upon you from afar, my gaze. And the moment you become aware of it, something changes. You are no longer in panic, not because the noise disappears, but because you know you belong in a place of safety. This is how my voice works within you. It does not remove every external factor, but establishes an inner axis so that you are not lost within yourself. And I tell you clearly so that you may discern. My voice never drives you into hurried reaction. I do not speak to provoke panic, nor do I press you to act immediately in confusion. As it is written, that is not a God of disorder, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. If something compels you to rush to the point where clarity is lost, That is not my leading, my beloved. I am teaching you to discern not through tension, but through familiarity. The longer you remain in me, the more you will begin to recognize my rhythm within your soul. You will know something is from me, not because you have analyzed it extensively, but because you sense the steady peace that accompanies it. And you will know something is not from me, not because it is always obviously wrong, but because it pulls you out of rest and pushes you into disorder or pressure. I do not want you to live in continual doubt. I am leading you into a mature discernment, where you are no longer shaken by every voice, but learn to stand firm in mine. And as you grow in this, you will no longer ask, "Is this from you?" But you will know within your heart, this is the peace that is leading me. Therefore, be at rest. I am not making your path more obscure. I am making you clearer. I am not bringing you into disorder. I am establishing you in stability. I am not drawing you away from me. I am bringing you closer, into a place where you do not only hear my voice, but begin to recognize my very rhythm becoming the foundation within your soul. You must understand this clearly. The voice that comes from human emotion carries a very different rhythm from mine. It is unstable, lacking inner stillness, like waves that continually strike the shore, rising only to collapse, forming only to shift direction again. It urges you to act immediately, to decide at once, to respond without pause, as though something essential will be lost if you do not move quickly. But I tell you, anything that drives you out of rest in me and into hurried reaction does not carry my nature. There is another voice you must also learn to discern more deeply, the voice of deception. It does not always appear as something obviously wrong. In fact, it is often subtle. It may resemble what is true, sound reasonable, even appear spiritual. Yet it lacks one essential element, my light. It complicates what should be simple, draws you into cycles of thought without resolution, and causes you to lose clarity about yourself and the path before you. It is like stepping into a room and sensing its atmosphere. Before you analyze, does nothing you immediately feel whether it is light or heavy, open or closed, bright or dim. This is not reasoning, but instant perception. I have placed this capacity within you from the beginning, and I am refining it over time. Therefore, I want you to learn to recognize your inner response as a form of spiritual guidance. When you hear something and your soul naturally expands, there is a gentle openness, a deep steadiness, a sense of being rightly positioned. This is my sign, not because it always brings intense emotion, but because it carries stability. But when you hear something and your soul contracts, there is a subtle tightening within, a heaviness, a dimness that is difficult to define, that is not me speaking. It is a spiritual alert I have placed within you to protect you from misalignment. I do not want you to ignore these responses. I do not want you to rely only on reasoning. I am training you to listen to the pulse of your soul, for that is where I speak most deeply, without noise, without pressure, yet with a clarity that belongs to heaven. Remember Ezekiel when I led him into the valley of dry bones. He was not guided by logic, nor by emotion, but by my word step by step. Ezekiel 7:10. He did not understand the entire process at once, yet he obeyed each instruction, and life began to return. Do you see? Discernment does not always come from understanding beforehand, but from recognizing the right voice to follow. I am teaching you the same, not to become one who analyzes everything through the mind, but one who lives in the awakened sensitivity of the soul. As you continue to walk with me, you will realize that discernment is no longer an effort. It becomes a spiritual instinct formed through intimacy with me. And when that happens, you will no longer be carried along by every voice around you. You will know how to pause. You will know how to perceive. You will know how to discern not because you are striving harder, but because you have become more attuned to me. I do not leave you wandering in the confusion of many voices. I am bringing you into a deeper stability, where your soul becomes a clear reflection of spiritual truth. And as you enter that place, you will realize that I am not only speaking to you, but shaping you into one who can recognize my voice naturally, without doubt, without confusion, but firmly established in the peace I placed within you from the beginning. My beloved, receive this as a deep anchor within your soul, so that the fluctuations that once unsettled you can no longer pull you away from the stability I am building within you. The spiritual confirmation I give is never merely an answer to curiosity or temporary unrest. It does not function as a simple explanation to ease questions like, should I go or stay? Is this right or wrong? Should I continue or stop? No. My beloved, it always carries a far deeper purpose. It reestablishes the identity and value I have placed within you from the beginning. You thought you were seeking me for direction, but I am using your seeking to remind you of something even greater than direction. You have never been lost in my sight. As it is written, I have called you by name, you are mine, Isaiah 43:1. You are not a wandering soul among scattered choices. You are one being held within a spiritual trajectory that I have formed, and not a single step you take escapes my faithful attention. When I confirm you, I am not only speaking about the path ahead, I am declaring to your soul that you are not forgotten, not overlooked, not outside the flow of heaven's intention. My confirmation is like an unseen yet living seal, reminding you that you are seen, heard, and guided in every moment. There is no step you take where I stand apart. There is no decision you face that I do not surround with my presence. My beloved, engrave this deeply. I do not use confirmation to create value in you. I confirm to reveal the value that has always been there. As it is written, we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus, Ephesians 2:10. A work of art does not become valuable when it is displayed. It already holds value from the hands that formed it. My confirmation does not add something new to your essence, but opens your eyes to see what has been within you from the beginning. You thought I was making you stronger through confirmation, but in truth, I am awakening what has been resting within you. You thought I was making you worthy, but I am illuminating the worth I placed in you before you ever entered these struggles. My confirmation is not an act of creating something new, it is an act of illumination. It is like light entering a dark room. It does not create the objects within, but reveals what has always been there. My confirmation is also like a spiritual mirror. But hear me clearly, it does not create your image. It does not repaint you into something new. It does not alter your essence in the moment of reflection. It simply reflects you in true light. And in that light, you are able to see more clearly what was once hidden by fear, by self-doubt, by the voices of the world. You will come to realize something very deep each time I confirm you. You do not become someone else. You return closer to who you truly are in me. You are not transformed into a stranger, but restored to the image I have ordained. As it is written, we are being transformed into the same image, from glory to glory. 2 Corinthians 3:18. This transformation is not the replacement of your being, but the gradual unveiling of the image that has always belonged to you. Therefore, be at peace in this. My confirmation does not make you more valuable, for you have never lacked value. It does not make you more guided, for you have never been abandoned. It does not make you more seen, for you have never been outside my sight. It simply opens your eyes so that you may live in what has always been true about you. I do not confirm to create a new identity for you. I confirm so that you may cease living in forgetfulness of your true identity. And when you begin to see yourself in my light, you will no longer tremble before old questions. but stand firm in the certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be within my plan, neither lacking, nor excessive, nor misplaced, but perfectly positioned within my heart from eternity. My beloved, listen deeply to these words, as though your soul stands before a threshold from which there is no turning back, not because of pressure, but because light is beginning to unfold from the very place where I am touching you. I speak to you a spiritual decree that does not arise from fleeting emotion, but from a moment appointed within my eternal order. The mist before your eyes is lifting, not because you have found your own way out, nor because you have forced yourself to see through the darkness, but because I am adjusting the light from a new angle, causing what once obscured your vision to lose its power to conceal. My beloved, I repeat this so that your soul will no longer be drawn backward by doubt. The appointed time has come, not because every question has been answered in the way you expected, but because you have been brought into a state where you can move forward without being bound by the fear of making a mistake. You once believed you needed more time, more signs, more certainty, according to human standards. But I say to you, you are ready, not in the sense of perfected ability, but in the sense that you have been formed enough to step into the portion I have entrusted to you in this season. I do not bring you into my appointed hour to let you fail. I do not place you in this position to be crushed by what is greater than you. I bring you in so that you may stand in your rightful function, where you no longer measure yourself by what you lack, but by my presence covering you. You think you are stepping into something for which you are unprepared. But I tell you, my presence itself makes you sufficient for what I assign. Hear this as a moment of spiritual unveiling. I decree that your eyes are being opened even now, not only to see the path ahead, but to discern the true nature of all that surrounds you. Your eyes are opened so that you will no longer confuse what is from me with what merely resembles me. Your eyes are opened so that you will no longer be drawn into the noise of things that appear reasonable but lack life. When your spiritual sight is opened, you will no longer live by speculation. You will no longer be bound by what if, or perhaps. You will begin to live by knowing, and this knowing is not the ability to predict the future, but the capacity to recognize my hand guiding you in the present. My beloved, when I open your eyes, you will come to see something deeper. You are not as weak as you once believed, and darkness does not hold the power you once feared. Darkness exists only where light has not yet been recognized. And when my light shines, all things begin to return to their proper place. Therefore, I do not open your eyes merely so that you may see the road. I open them so that you may see yourself in me. You will see that you are not alone, not abandoned, not placed in a space that does not belong to you. You are within my process, held, guided, and positioned, and as you move forward from this point, you will no longer live by uncertain assumptions, but by a deep awareness that I am here, that I am leading you, and that the light I have placed within you is not only to illuminate your path, but to establish you in the authority I ordained for you from eternity. My beloved, receive this as a seal, being placed upon your journey not to stir temporary emotion, but to position you in a deeper and more steadfast awareness in me. I declare over your life a reality you have long sensed, but could not yet name. The appointed time of maturity has begun. But understand maturity as heaven defines it, not as human standards would measure it. Maturity does not mean you have reached flawless perfection, free from all lack. No, my beloved, maturity is when you are no longer governed by emotional fluctuations, when you are no longer pulled by urgent inner impulses, and when you gain the capacity to stand still before me, even while everything within you urges immediate reaction. Maturity is when you begin to clearly discern between what carries life and what is merely a passing call. You no longer chase what produces strong emotion, but learn to pause, to weigh things in my light, and to move only when you recognize true guidance. Maturity is when you no longer cling to what has lost its life, no longer hold on to what remains only in form, but release it in peace, because you understand that I never remove something without holding something better within my intention. My beloved, I also want you to understand that maturity does not make you hardened in the way of the world, but makes you established in me. Your heart remains tender toward me, responsive when I touch you, when I refine you, when I lead you into truth. Yet at the same time, you become firm against temptation. You are no longer easily swayed by what is not from me, no longer shaken by invitations that oppose the life I have placed within you. Remember Esther, who entered the palace not in haste, but in an appointed time. Her path was not random, but a step-by-step leading through seasons of hidden preparation. And when she stood before the king, that moment was not the beginning, it was the unveiling of something prepared long before, where timing and identity met in the fulfillment of purpose. Esther 4:5. My beloved, in the same way, I am bringing you into your appointed season, not one you manufacture through effort, but one I have ordained beforehand. A season where doors open, not because you force them, but because my hand rests upon them. And when I open, no power can shut. As it is written, what I have opened, no one can shut. Revelation 3-7. In this season, you will realize something profound. You are no longer one who waits in uncertainty, but one who is positioned within a process that is unfolding. You will no longer live under the tension of when, but within the peace of I am at work. I do not bring you into a season of maturity to overwhelm you beyond your strength, but to lead you into a place where the growth within you begins to bear true fruit. And that fruit does not come from striving, but from alignment with me. Therefore, my beloved, stand firm in this. You are not delayed, not left behind, not forgotten. You are within the time I have appointed, where maturity is no longer a distant promise, but a present reality beginning to unfold in your life. And as you continue forward, you will come to see that everything I have done within you until now has not been random, but a careful preparation so that you may stand firm within your season, the one I have opened, and no one can shut. My beloved, receive this as a gentle yet deep correction, so that you do not step out of alignment in the season I am calling maturity in your life. There is no true growth in me that does not pass through rhythms of discernment being tested, but you must understand its nature correctly. I do not test you to condemn you, nor to expose your weakness. I test to reveal what has already been formed within you, so that you may know the foundation upon which you stand, whether it is my peace or the instability of emotion. Remember Gideon, whom I led through a process that defied human reasoning. I instructed him to reduce his army to only 300 men, while the battle before him seemed to demand far more. To the natural eye, it appeared illogical, but within my order, it was a complete repositioning of his trust. As it is written, lest Israel boast against me, saying, my own hand has saved me. Judges 7-2. I was removing misplaced confidence, so that only a pure reliance upon me would remain. My beloved, the discernment required in this season will always reveal the foundation upon which you are standing, not the foundation of passing emotions, not the impulses within you, and not the outward attraction of what seems appealing, but the foundation of the peace that comes from me. And this is what you must remember deeply. What comes from me does not require prolonged inner conflict to be sustained. If you find yourself struggling excessively to convince your own heart, if your mind must constantly rearrange itself to make something feel right, If you feel stretched between many directions without a place of rest, then pause and discern. Not because you have failed, but because I am teaching you to recognize the difference between my voice and the noise of inner turbulence. I also want you to learn a deeper spiritual principle. Discernment does not come from reasoning alone, but from the spiritual atmosphere surrounding what you are facing. You must learn to sense the essence behind words, behind choices, behind directions. You are not merely observing appearances, you are perceiving the spirit carried within them. And you will recognize this more clearly as you go deeper in me. There will be things that sound entirely reasonable, yet your soul contracts. There will be things that are not loud, yet carry a deep stillness. And it is within that contrast that I am teaching you to discern. My beloved, I will not leave you walking in prolonged ambiguity. I am training you so that you are no longer led by surface-level attraction or unchecked inner impulses. I am bringing you into a maturity where you no longer need to guess what I am saying, but begin to recognize within your own heart what carries life and what does not. Therefore, do not fear these moments of testing. They are not given to confuse you, but to strengthen you, not to make you doubt me, but to make you more certain in recognizing me. And as you walk through these moments of discernment with faithfulness, you will no longer live in fluctuation, but will enter into a deep stability where you not only hear me more clearly, but also become certain within yourself what carries peace is my leading, and what carries disorder is where I am teaching you to pause. My beloved, now I set before you a clearer pathway for this season of maturity, not as a rigid system of rules, but as pillars upon which your soul may stand firm while discerning among the many voices surrounding you. I give this to you not to burden you, but to free you from being led astray by the instability of your thoughts. First, you must remember this: never make decisions while your soul is unsettled. Instability is not a sign of guidance, it is a sign of interference. It belongs to the realm of unquiet thoughts, unprocessed emotions, and reasoning that is attempting to control what it cannot yet fully see. As it is written, "Be still, and know that I am God," Psalm 46:10. This stillness is not emptiness, but the state in which your soul ceases hurried reaction and begins to perceive rightly. When your inner waters are disturbed, wait. Do not rush to confirm anything. Do not rush to reject anything. Do not rush to grasp or release. Allow the waters within you to settle. For when the waters are calm, they become a mirror, and only within that still mirror can you see the true image of what I am placing before you. The second principle I give you is this: look at the fruit of what you hear. Do not only listen with your ears, but observe through spiritual awareness. As it is written, "You will recognize them by their fruits," Matthew 7:16. Every voice, every leading, every impression produces a kind of fruit within your soul. There are things that produce deep peace, not a superficial calm, but a stability that brings clarity rather than fragmentation. There are things that produce prolonged unrest, causing your thoughts to circle endlessly without resolution. Some things open you into light, while others cause you to withdraw into uncertainty. Learn to observe these fruits, for I always leave my mark, not only in what is spoken, but in what is produced. The third principle: follow what causes your soul to grow, not what causes you to shrink in fear. I do not lead you through contraction, but through expansion in peace. What comes from me may challenge you, but it will not cause you to collapse inward in fear. It may lead you beyond what is familiar, but it will not make you lose yourself. As it is written, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control." 2 Timothy 1:7. If you find yourself shrinking under fear, that is not me opening the way for you. The fourth principle: learn to recognize the gentle pull, not the forceful push. This is one of the most subtle signs of spiritual guidance. I do not drive you. I do not pressure you. I do not corner you. I draw you gently, consistently, and with purpose into my peace. The enemy operates through pushing you into haste, into panic, into decisions made without clarity. But I operate through drawing you into stillness, into light, into a gradual yet certain knowing. When you feel pushed, pause it. But when you sense yourself being drawn into deeper peace, into a quiet clarity, into a steady alignment that does not require strain, then continue forward. My beloved, I am teaching you not merely to distinguish right from wrong, but to live in alignment with me. As you practice these principles, you will begin to realize that discernment is no longer a battle within the mind, but becomes an awareness within the soul. You will no longer need to argue with yourself for long, but will learn to pause, to settle, and to recognize what carries my life. And as you walk in this maturity, you will discover something profound. You are no longer governed by inner fluctuations, but led by a steady peace that is growing within you. This is the sign that I am not only speaking to you, but training you to live within my rhythm, a rhythm that is not hurried, not chaotic, but precise, stable, and full of life. My beloved, receive this fifth principle as a deeper key that opens the door to spiritual maturity, where you no longer seek my will as something external, but begin to live in harmony with the very flow of my voice operating within you. I tell you this: those I appoint in a season of maturity always learn to keep a sacred space. This space is not emptiness without meaning, nor silence born of lacking answers, but a place within the soul kept clear from the intrusion of hurried reactions. It is where you do not rush to respond, do not rush to act, do not rush to seek explanations from others, nor rush to fill silence with constant thoughts. It is the place where you allow me room to speak. My beloved, this sacred space is where you do not strive to control outcomes, but keep your heart in a posture of readiness. It is not always speaking, not always reacting, not always searching for more information, but knowing how to pause so that I may place within you what is right in its time. This is why I have established within the lives of those who belong to me a sacred rhythm of slowing down, not to delay, but to reposition the hearing of the soul. Now I am bringing you into a new realm of spiritual operation, where you are no longer striving to find my will as though it were a detached answer, but begin to live within a continuous flow of guidance. You are no longer gathering fragments of revelation as scattered pieces, but learning to move with the current I am opening. In this place, discernment is no longer a burden, but a companionship. Like Peter, when he stepped out of the boat, he did not have full logical assurance for his step, but he had a word that was sufficient to sustain it. Matthew 14:29. Do you see? Walking with me does not always begin with intellectual security, but with certainty in my voice. And that voice is the true foundation of all spiritual stability. I am bringing you into a state where you no longer strain to hear clearly, because the frequency of your soul is being aligned with mine. You will begin to realize that guidance is no longer a series of isolated moments, but a continuous flow within your life. You will no longer chase after signs, but move in rhythm with me, my beloved. And here is what I want to seal deeply within your soul. I do not only confirm what you ask, I confirm you. I affirm that you are not lost in the process I am leading. I affirm that you are not left behind by time. I affirm that you are not misaligned from the course I have set. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are walking in my appointed time, and my time never misaligns, never loses direction, and never fails. Therefore, step into this place with deep assurance. Keep the sacred space. Keep your heart soft toward me. Keep your readiness to hear. And in all things, know that I am not only leading you forward, but confirming that every step you take is within the perfect ordering of heaven. My beloved, let these words sink into the deepest layer of your soul, beyond the reach of fluctuating thoughts, beyond the haze of past seasons. I am surrounding you with a new atmosphere, not one of passing emotion, but one of spiritual awareness, of unity with me, and of maturity being formed in the light of heaven. You no longer stand in the realm of uncertainty where you must guess what I am doing. You are being brought into a place of light, where every step is accompanied by me, even if you do not yet see the entire path. As it is written, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. Do you see? My presence is not only before you to guide, but beside you to sustain, and within you to keep you steadfast. I am changing the way you perceive your spiritual life. In the past, you often walked by hope, a kind of expectation not yet firmly established. But from this moment forward, I am leading you into a deeper realm, one where you no longer merely hope, but are confirmed. This confirmation is not a loud external signal, but a quiet certainty within your soul, where you know that I am guiding you even when circumstances have not yet visibly changed. My beloved, I also want you to understand that the steps you are taking are not as solitary as you once believed. There are moments when you feel as though you are walking in silence, without clear signs, without affirmation from the world around you. But I tell you, it is precisely in those moments that my hand is supporting you the most. As it is written, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, Psalm 23:4. That presence is not always loud, but it is always faithful and unchanging. I have heard the quiet cries within your heart, the things you have not spoken aloud, the burdens you have carried in silence, the questions you have only dared to ask in the depths of your spirit. And I have answered, not with haste, but with precise timing. For in heaven, no prayer is forgotten, and no cry is ever lost. You are no longer walking with a fragile hope that things might somehow turn out well. You are walking in the confirmation that I am here, that you are within my process, that every step you take is neither meaningless nor misdirected nor overlooked. And as you continue forward, you will begin to realize something deeper than anything else. My presence is not merely a form of external help, it is the very foundation shaping the way you live, the way you feel, the way you perceive all things. You no longer need to search for me in the dark, for my light is becoming the very atmosphere surrounding you. Therefore, rest in this. My beloved, you are not walking alone. You are not walking in uncertainty. You are not walking outside of my intention. You are walking in the living confirmation that I am leading you, sustaining you, and drawing you into a deeper dimension of awareness where hope is no longer a vague expectation, but a steady assurance anchored in my word over your life. My beloved, engrave these words as a pillar within your journey, so that your heart will not tilt when the winds shift, nor be carried away by the fluctuations of outward circumstances. I remind you of something simple yet profound. Keep your heart soft before me. Keep your eyes directed toward me, and keep your ears inclined to my voice. These are not separate actions, but a single posture, the posture of one who remains spiritually ready before my leading. You will begin to recognize me, not only in great and visible moments, but in the smallest signals you once overlooked, a quiet settling within your heart, a gentle prompting within your thoughts, a peace that does not arise from circumstances, or a subtle pull guiding you back into alignment. These are not random occurrences. They are the ways I whisper within your life, leading you step by step with the precision of heaven. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way. Walk in it, Isaiah 30-21. That voice is not loud, but it is clear enough to guide you if you learn to listen in the stillness within. And as you walk in that sensitivity, you will come to see that I never lead you vaguely, but always place you within a path that has been ordained beforehand. My beloved, understand this as well. You are not walking in blind trial and error, but within a process designed with precision by me. Therefore, I say to you, continue forward, not in the haste of fear, nor in the hesitation of doubt, but in the steadiness of one who knows they are being led. I say to you again with clarity, you are walking in the time I have appointed, not a time defined by human measure, not a time of delay or chance, but a time established by heaven. And in this time, I am opening wider realms of operation within your life, not to overwhelm you, but to mature you in a deeper alignment with my guidance. Therefore, my beloved, continue forward. Do not hesitate. Do not shrink back. Do not fear making mistakes. You are not walking alone, and you are not walking in obscurity. You are moving within a light that is being unveiled step by step, layer by layer, season by season. I am with you. I go before you. I stand behind you to guard you, and I sustain you in every step you take. You are being led. You are being kept, and you are being lifted into the light I have appointed for this season. Therefore, keep walking, not because you see the entire path, but because you know with certainty that heaven is making a way, and nothing I open for you can be closed by fear. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely an observer. You are one who has been chosen to live daily within the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you do not miss any spiritual messages. Amen.